Hey guys, you'll have to excuse my helmet hair and the fact that it is like 8:30 and I'm exhausted, but I just saw a video and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to rant about it a little bit while toddler's asleep and no one's in the house to get annoyed by me talking about horses. So you're welcome. If you're joining along with me now, you are going to listen to a rant. I'm going to get on my soapbox and I'm going to get mad. So, in general, I'll have you know, I typically have found some value, enjoyed some content from Clinton Anderson. If you don't know him, he's a very well known, supposedly natural horsemanship trainer. He has a lot of I think reining and working cattle type horses, a lot of cutting and sorting, that sort of thing. World champion, he's done it all and he's been very successful. Okay. So he's got a training program, the Down Under Horsemanship Method, and I have followed steps from that, and I have often recommended that people try the method if they're struggling and have training issues with their horses. So we'll just start with that caveat. I have often recommended Clinton Anderson. I have quoted him and I have watched a lot of his videos and found some value in some of his advice and his methods. So I'm not completely throwing the guy under the bus. Do what you want with him. If you hate his guts, I don't care. I can understand that. I'm gradually seeing more and more of the side of him that I don't appreciate. And I'm not saying he doesn't have things of value to say or show or share. So, take everything you can in the horse world with a grain of salt. And if you can use something, you can use a method or advice, then good. If you can't, learn from it. So I'm not here to rant about his methods, although sometimes I do think he's a little bit aggressive, maybe a little too fast moving, maybe a little too intense. It's hard to say through a screen when you're watching a video. If you're not in that round pen or on that horse, it's easy to sit back in the peanut gallery and point fingers and judge and say, well, you were too this, too that. So I'm not putting myself in that position where I can say he's for sure to this, to that. I'm not. That we all have our opportunities to sit back and make judgments. But I know a lot of his videos that I've enjoyed watching were really desperate situations where a horse has either attacked someone repeatedly or has like a rearing up and flipping over habit. It's a really troubled horse and the owners are desperate to get help. So they come to him as a last ditch resort. And I understand that Clinton may only have a day or two to try to change this animal's behavior and help the owners to, completely revolutionize this animal's world so that it doesn't end up getting put down. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. So there have been times where I say, I think he can justify being as aggressive or as maybe heavy-handed as he is in some of his videos because, frankly, if he misses the mark, the horse is going to die. And maybe it's worth being a little extra over the top if you're ensuring that the animal from then on out has a good, safe, secure life and no longer is putting people in danger. So, do with that what you will. I think sometimes he can be a little heavy-handed when it's not necessary, but again, that's my personal opinion. So the video I saw tonight that really set me off, just a whole topic that sets me off, but the words he chose to use really insulted me. So you're welcome to look up that video on your own. I'm going to attempt to share the link down in the comments or in the description so that you can watch it yourself. But in either case, it's a short format video where Clinton is discussing why he stalls all of his horses and the difference between his horses and your horses and why your opinion on whether you should stall or not stall doesn't really matter. So again, please watch that video for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Get it straight from the horse's mouth. I want you to hear what he has to say about that, but I'm very insulted about the way he said it, and I'm not one to be insulted easily. I'm really not easily offended. But in short, Clinton opens this video by saying, "My horses are not trail horses. My horses are, performance horses. They're valued at anywhere from $70,000 to $400,000. So I keep my horses stalled." And so that's kind of the whole gist of the video. As far as that opinion, that's nothing new, unfortunately, to the horse world. And whether you believe in stalling your horses or whether you keep your horses stalled, we can have a civil and fair discussion on why I disagree with that whole methodology. I disagree with that theory. Again, we can have a civil and respectful conversation about the pros and cons of full-time pasture or partial turnout or whatever. I would be happy to have that discussion with you. And I want to preface that by being hopefully the bigger man than Clinton and having that discussion with you by speaking about your horse with respect, regardless of his financial value or his sale price. I don't care if your horse is worth $5, $50,000. I don't care. Every single equine in this world to me is on the same playing field. My horse is not worth a lot of money. None of my horses have ever been worth a lot of money. And I'm proud of that. I take horses that have been in, maybe rough situations and horses that have maybe past their prime a little bit, and I'm happy with that. I don't need a special show horse for any purpose. I just trail ride and I just pleasure ride. But I have the same amount of respect for each of my clients' horses. When back when I was shoeing a lot, I shod horses that were free, off the slaughter lot. I've had horses that were, $80,000 Friesians. And it doesn't matter if those horses are acting up, if they're being pushy or bratty, whatever. I had the exact same approach for your backyard, quote unquote, nag as I do for, the Friesians, the saddlebreds, Arabians, all those high dollar horses that I've shod. I will correct the behavior if needed. I blame the trainer and the owner for any misbehavior, first off. And then I, try to get through the work, and I give every horse the same quality of care and attention, regardless of their sale value. I don't care what you purchased your horse for. I genuinely don't care. And that's not to say that, I'm looking down on your expensive horses. I'm not, but we're placing human values onto an animal that has no concept of value. A horse doesn't know it's a $5 horse, and it doesn't know it's a $500,000 horse. They don't know. Just because you keep your, fancy pants stallion stalled 24/7, keep a rug on him year round to keep him clean and have his mane braided and, special grooming and treatment every day, he doesn't know that he's any more valuable to you than the Shetland pony you've got out in your pasture that hasn't seen a farrier or a grooming box in 5 years. They don't know that they are different tiers of value to you. They just know that they're equines. They know that they want to move. They know that they need food. They know that they need socialization. That's all they care about. They're herd animals. They're herd grazing animals. That's all. That's literally the two most important things to horses, is the safety of a herd and the availability and abundance of food so that they can graze 24/7. So I'm not going to delve into my opinions just now on the whole stalling debate. We can talk about that another time. Excuse me. But just to summarize Clinton's video, he said, my horses aren't trail horses. Emphasize they're worth a lot of money. And again, I get that his entire his entire livelihood rides on the back of these horses. But he then justifies, well, they get some turnout and they get hot walkers and they get ridden and, they stay in a really nice facility and all that. But I still don't think that's quite fair. Horses don't, again, they don't know they're worth anything. They need movement. They need constant grazing. They need constant foraging to keep their gut healthy, to keep their minds healthy, and they need social time. They need turnout with other horses. It's just a fact. They need turnout with other horses. So all of that aside, my biggest issue right now that has just erased my respect for Clinton Anderson, and really just makes me roll my eyes, is he said that people will come onto his videos and they'll comment and they'll say things like, self-righteous, he says. These people are self-righteous. They'll come onto my videos and they'll say things like, well, my horse has 24-hour turnout. And his retort to that, yeah, your piece of shit trail horse, it's worth $2,500. That was his words. Your piece of shit trail horse that is worth $2,500. I don't know about you, but I'm insulted by that. I don't care that my horse was bought for $550 when she was the scrawniest, half-bald, ugly duckling of a horse you've ever seen. I don't care that she's unregistered. I don't care that I honestly would never breed her even if the opportunity came up, because she's just not exactly perfect. I don't care. I don't care if she's only worth like $2,000. You don't get to place such a low value and look down upon the life of a living being just because it doesn't make you money. I mean, my little Shetland pony was only worth $250, and he was foundered. He was old. He had COPD and sounded like an asthmatic when he breathed. He had missing teeth. But does that mean that he deserves, less respect or care than your quote-unquote $400,000 performance horse? I don't think so. I don't like that attitude. I don't like that we're assigning human values to the animals. Again, I understand people make their livelihood off these creatures. I don't think that's necessarily right. Kind of a gray area at best. But no. You're not going to look at my horse, look down upon my horse, and say, well, you do what you want to do. It doesn't matter because your horse is only worth $2,500 and it's only a trail horse. You're a piece of shit trail horse, in his words. That got my blood boiling. I don't care. I don't care what his advice is. I don't care what his training methods are. I don't care how much money he's made. Or, excuse me, we've got a cat freaking out over here. I don't care, how much more famous he is than I'll ever be. I'm a nobody. I don't care. My horse is a nobody. I don't care. But she has no less value. I feel the same way about it when people, assign value to their dogs or whatever animal you've got. I really like how, again, have your opinions on certain famous trainers and things, but I really like a lot of what I hear from Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. I can't say I agree with all his methods, same thing. I really like a lot about him, but I like his attitude. He approaches every single dog he meets with the exact same respect, whether it is a, $12,000 coon hunting champion or whether it's your $5 beagle that you got from the local rescue, or it's some, Shih Tzu mix that bites everybody's ankles and is 2 steps away from its own death because it's so old. He treats every single dog with the same respect and dignity as he does the next. I appreciate that because the dogs can feel that respect, and they can receive that treatment, that equal care, equal respect, and equal treatment. And that's just the way to do it. It's the only ethical way to approach animals, because you can't assign human values like worth to them and expect them to understand what that means. So one of Caesar's things that he really promotes and he pushes, and I really like it, I've adopted it. He says that you should approach an animal with the species in mind first. They're canines, they're dogs. So you need to address the dog's needs, the dog's behaviors, the dog's language. You need to deal with that first. Second is breed. So often people will say, well, my dog doesn't need, to have room to play or run around. He's just like a dachshund. He's little. Well, Caesar disagrees. He says, no, your dog is a dog first. Dogs need exercise, they need discipline, they need love, and they need communication. And if any of those needs are missing, you're neglecting your dog and you're not going to have a good outcome. You need to take care of your dog's needs first. It's a species first approach. So species first, breed second, individual last. You address all of your concerns in that exact priority, that pecking order. And that way you're sure to meet all the animal's needs and to treat it in a way that's fair and ethical. I don't feel like Clinton has that same attitude, which is really frustrating because he addresses issues with really troubled horses, and he got really famous for doing this. That's, I think, really where he got his big break as far as the TV shows and the YouTube channels and stuff, because I didn't even know for years that he was a competitor. That wasn't the first thing I learned about Clinton. I got to following him because of the videos I saw, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. They only know he exists because of the videos they've seen of him, bringing these horses back from the brink of death because they're so, damaged. They're so troubled, and he rehabs them or trains them or whatever you want to call it, and he gives them a new chance at life. And that's compelling. That's interesting. Cats, quit fighting. But it breaks my heart that he's dealt with these rescue horses, and it breaks my heart that he's dealt with these average, everyday trail horses, these unregistered horses, these mixed breed horses, these typical, everyday. So much of his fan base is just backyard horse owners. We're not all rich. We're not all competitors. Heck, and most of us are probably trail riders. But I feel like he really just dissed his entire fan base and his entire, following. Everyone who's been buying his DVDs and his halters and, really paying his way for many years in the whole natural horsemanship world, this whole program he's got going. Most of his clientele and most of his fan base are backyard horse owners. And yet he's going to turn around and refer to the entire world of customers, paying customers and fans, and say your horse is a piece of shit because it's not worth what my horses are worth. That was a dumb business move. I mean, that was just dumb. I can't fathom it. When I did shoeing, full time, I would be so humiliated if I had the moment of, poor judgment, and I spoke to one of my clients saying, oh, well, that piece of shit pony down the road, he just gets a hack job trim because he's not worth anything. But your horse is $80,000. I'll give you the top treatment. If they repeated that to anyone else in my customer base, I would be so humiliated. I would be out of business for one. Most people would never call me back. Girls. Cats are all ticked off too, apparently, and my frustrations rubbing off on them. But if I spoke that way about my client base, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they all fired me. What kind of an attitude is that? Your horse doesn't matter because it's not valued at X amount of dollars. It's not such and such discipline. It's not such and such breed. It's a piece of shit. That's just a terrible attitude when you're running a business. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's so rich it just doesn't freaking matter. Maybe he only cares about his, high dollar clientele. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm just spreading awareness. Just letting y'all know that if your horse is worth less than probably $10,000, he thinks it's a piece of shit and he doesn't value it and he doesn't respect it. And so you can do whatever you want with your horse. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about you or your horse. Trail horses don't matter to Clinton Anderson. His words. Again, go check the video out for yourself. I am not trying to slander this guy. He hasn't personally wronged me, but he pissed me off. I'm done. So, you just can't look at me and tell me that my sweet, gentle, dependable, kind-hearted, forgiving, such a forgiving horse, My Little Trail Pony, is a piece of shit. Yeah, she's, a untrained nag, sure. You can call her a name. That doesn't really bother me. You tell me she's just, just a backyard trail pony. Okay. That is accurate. That is not a problem to me. But that doesn't mean her life has less value, and that doesn't mean that her health has less value, and that doesn't mean that, she is a less useful or valuable creature just because she's not making you money. Just because my horse doesn't carry some high dollar breeding value or anything like, she's never going to win a world championship at anything, ever. But that doesn't make her worthless as a creature. That's not fair. That horse has saved my hide in so many situations. I've had tack failures. I've had mistakes that I've made while riding. I've had things, just freak accidents happen, and that horse has saved my hide in so many situations. She has been there and protected me when most other horses would have flipped out, bucked, bolted, whatever. And she has been safe and dependable. I can put my kid up on her in the arena and turn him loose and, hey, go ride. And I don't have to fear that my horse is going to do anything silly. She's a trustworthy, good, dependable, kind-hearted mare. Not Clinton. None of that matters, apparently. To him. It doesn't matter. She's not a $500,000 cutting horse, so. Anyway. I'll get off my soapbox and stop ranting here. Choose your trainers wisely. I'm not saying Clinton Anderson's wrong about everything. Like I said before, I have found value in some of his training methodology. I've found value in some of his videos. I've taken some inspiration from the things that I've seen him do. And I've taken caution and kind of taken a step back a few times and said, I don't know that I agreed with that. Just choose your trainers very carefully. Choose your circle in the horse world very carefully. The people that are making money off of you are not necessarily always in your corner or have your best interest at heart. Sometimes people in the horse world are shady and all they care about is making money or making a name, being famous, whatever the case may be. So just be careful. Don't praise anybody like they're perfect, because they're not. They're humans, and often humans, unfortunately, unlike animals, have ulterior motives and are looking to gain something from every situation and every person, every animal they encounter. So try to at least pick, people to look up to who speak with the kind of respect and empathy towards you, your discipline, and towards your horses, like they matter, regardless of, their history or background or breeding, whatever. I advise you to pick people who speak highly of animals like yours, even if they're not worth a lot of money. I've always loved Pat Pirelli, and yes, he's made mistakes, and he's made some very public mistakes. He's not perfect, but I'll give the guy some credit. He has always spoken with kindness, empathy, understanding, and respect towards every horse I've ever seen him handle. And he doesn't talk down to the horse or talk down to the rider. He doesn't talk behind their back and say that your horse is a piece of shit. Same for John Lyons. I've seen him handle some, backyard nags, just cheap old trail ponies. And he has the same kind of gentleness and kindness in his hands and in his body language as he does with the high dollar horses. I know Ray Hunt didn't treat nicely the high dollar horses and beat up the low dollar horses. I know he didn't mock them and talk bad names about them and call them cuss words for the fun of it. These guys that really value the animal first and then the breed second and, the discipline third, the individual horse fourth, or, whatever their hierarchy is, they didn't prioritize the dollar value of these animals in the consideration of their training and their handling and their care and management. So, again, let's talk about the whole stalling debate another time. And I will talk to you with the same dignity and respect I will talk to anybody else, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. But let's have a real and honest conversation about the good and the bad of stalling, and how horses are mentally and physiologically healthiest and why stalling can really hinder their well-being. But let's do that another time, and let's do it with respect and kindness. And above all else, please, let's make a habit of speaking about everyone's horses, everyone's dogs, everyone's animals with the same kind of dignity, whether or not they are high dollar award-winning animals or whether they have never entered a show ring and have come out of the kill pen. Let's just treat animals with the kind of dignity and respect that they deserve. So that's enough of my rant. Thanks for listening. Have a good night.